And now, our feature presentation.
To infinity and beyond!
My name's Bond. James Bond.
That'll do, Piggy.
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
Show you with the box. Who's in the box?
Damn! Ew! Get off of me! Ugh, F.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I know. They're called doctors.
Houston, we have a problem.
Why did it not do what I needed it to do? That's not on you. I get promises of things that this streaming platform says it's going to do, and it never does it.
Oh, we'll start off with a Twitch bitch sesh.
Yeah, no, it's not even Twitch. It's not Twitch. I'm not going to do that. Welcome in, everybody.
Welcome in. He's going to have a problem.
It just made me mad. You know, you have something. It's supposed to work the way that you want it. Doesn't. It's not Twitch. I'll fire some things off later. You got Georgia on your mind?
I got Georgia on my mind.
Good.
3.
Good. Well, let's talk about it a little bit. Welcome in, everybody, to 52/1995, your live movie conversation podcast where we dive deep into the movies of 1995. I'm your host, Cody, and I'm thrilled to be joined this week by my fantastic co-host, Ryan, to discuss the movie, the 1995 drama, Georgia. For those tuning in for the very first time, we're glad that you're here every week, 52 of them to be exact. We explore a different film from 1995. We dive into this year's important releases, discuss them in detail, and then I chat with my guests about their thoughts, experiences with the movie. We're currently in the middle of our theme, Drugs Are Bad, where each of our movies focus on drugs or alcohol in some way, usually with addiction issues. So pretty heavy September for us as we crawl through some of these movies. But before we jump into Georgia, Ryan, how are you?
I'm great.
Good.
You hear on what's happened to be in 52/. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this one, honestly, because this is one of the ones I had not seen this year. Had you ever seen this movie before?
So yeah, I think like a year, maybe at most 2 years ago, on the Criterion Channel, the streaming service, there was a Jennifer Jason Leigh collection.
Okay.
An actor who, is, as we'll get into, is very unique and specific and had been in many things. I'd come across her without really remembering who she was. And then it was pretty interesting to like go through like 6 Jennifer Jason Leigh movies in a row. And I never seen like Single White Female, which is maybe one of her most famous, where she's kind of the star. So I watched that, and I watched Georgia. I never heard about it then, but I did kind of live in my memory. I think I might have staked my claim for this movie being like, oh, I saw that. I think that movie's interesting to talk about in its flaws and its strengths. And then rewatching it for the podcast, I felt even different and deeper about it than I did the first time. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Well, this is actually our third time talking about a Jennifer Jason Leigh movie. We did Shortcuts in 1993 to some, again, kind of mixed. I feel like we were kind of mixed on that one.
That was my first appearance at 52/, and that was the third time I'd seen Shortcuts, and that was a couple years ago, and I still don't remember anything about it or where Jennifer Jason Leigh was in it. I can remember 3 things about Shortcuts, and there's 80 things in the movie. So
she was the phone sex operator, just trying to make ends meet with her husband.
That's familiar, yeah.
Yeah. Hudsucker Proxy, which is a favorite Coen Brothers film of you and me.
I will say that in that Jennifer Jason Leigh, Hudsucker Proxy is great. We covered that in the podcast. Great Coen Brothers movie. In the Jennifer Jason Leigh collection, I also watched Dorothy Parker and the Vicious Circle, which I don't think 52/ covered.
We did not.
Those are the only 2 movies she does in 1994. And it's kind of funny that she practices the Dorothy Parker accent, which I won't try so much. That it's kind of a good movie about Dorothy Parker, but it's almost annoying how much she sounds like Dorothy Parker, like authentically. Like maybe we don't go all the way authentic on that. And then if you're a fan of Hudsucker Proxy, she's clearly doing like, Her Girl Friday. screwball comedy, fast talking New Yorker 20s kind of accent. So that now that I know those are the only 2 movies she did in 1994, Hudsucker Proxy and Dorothy Parker, she basically just already had the over-the-top accent for Hudsucker.
Is it that mid-Atlantic accent, right? Yeah, like Rosalind Russell, Katharine Hepburn.
Very creaky and very fast-talking, but then holding vowels sometimes. I won't even pretend to try to do it, but everybody would recognize it.
And I feel like
female version of like Scarface, like, yeah, you see, like doing all of that.
I feel like when we've talked about her before, you have expressed that she's not like your favorite actress. Like,
I think I remember expressing probably to you,
hate her, but
that I think that Jennifer Jason Leigh swings for the fences every time she's in a movie, and that I'm very much on her side because of that. I think she frequently overacts and goes crazy, and it becomes the center point of a lot of films she's in. But I think she's always trying to act, and she's trying to do something big. And I respect that a lot when there's a lot safer plays. I think we'll eventually bring up at some point, like Winona Ryder, like being like her contemporary, who is not, in my opinion, a very good actor, but became like the darling of a generation. I don't think Winona Ryder is very good, but she kind of has a look like Jennifer Jason Leigh, a creaky voice, but she never really goes that big. I think she stays kind of demure, where Jennifer Jason Leigh is like, feels like in every movie she's on a stage.
Yeah. And I think that there's even another alternate person that comes out of this kind of era of this. And yeah, I'm ruining a little bit of probably what we'll talk about later, but like a Juliette Lewis.
Yes. Yeah.
Who is almost like, it feels like Jennifer Jason Leigh is the in-between of a Winona Ryder and a Juliette Lewis. Like Juliette Lewis is going for it, but is just like insane.
As far as
in a way.
Yeah, right. yeah. I agree. Juliette. Oh yeah, I was thinking of Julianne Moore. Juliette Lewis, absolutely. That's a good pull, because it's hard to think of any actors in this age range in the 90s or today that will act this big. But Juliette Lewis definitely did.
Yeah, and
Jennifer Jason Leigh always acts big, and I think her perfect role might be like the Hateful Eight.
Very good in the Hateful Eight. I like her.
Very good in the Hateful Eight, but also she's supposed to be an insane character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's an insane person. She's filthy. She says the worst things in the world. She does the worst things in the world. Like, Jennifer Jason Leigh was built for that role. Whereas I think in the beginning of her career in the 90s, being put in more grounded roles, like some of her overacting, did her service and sometimes hurt her.
Yeah, and I think that most people who are coming out of maybe the 80s know her best as Stacy from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She's the one. She's the kind of a main character in that movie, one of like 4 who ends up getting pregnant and everything. And that's a really quiet role, a really subdued role, and a lot of serious, stuff happening to her as a 16-year-old in high school at the time. Single white female gets brought up a lot. I have not seen that one either. Backdraft, I don't remember her character in Backdraft. I'm assuming that she's just playing a wife or something. Yeah. I used to love that movie a lot, but Existenz, as we get through the 90s, that's always one that
I think it was in the collection of her movies that I saw. Yeah. Cronenberg movie.
And then she kind of like, I don't think she definitely doesn't disappear. She works for a very long time. She has, some stints in Weeds, as I can see, some stints in like network television, still doing like independent movies and everything. And then kind of comes back in a big way. And the Hateful Eight, I really do think that, she was working on quieter, more subdued films. And then Hateful Eight kind of brings her back into
and apparently she has been working a lot more in movies that I've wanted to see but haven't, like Annihilation, I think. I'd love to see her in more stuff. I really do like watching her in screen, because even when I don't like what Jennifer Jason Leigh does, I'm not bored to death. I'll also point out that maybe my favorite, I forgot, she's really good in one of my favorite like mumblecore movie might be Margot at the Wedding.
Oh, I forget about Margot at the Wedding. I love Margot at the Wedding.
I love Margot at the Wedding too. And she's kind of doing a more subdued, older version of Sadie, right? Like a kind of reformed wild child, just trying to like make it through like a late in life marriage kind of thing, later in life marriage kind of thing. And then thinking about that going into Georgia, I really started to like Georgia more than my first watch, and seeing the way that it was kind of an early mumblecore thing. Or I saw some reviewers compare it to John Cassavetes. And some of the way that it's filmed, a little like slow and plotless and just kind of plodding along with real dialogue, not with a lot of plot developments, like reminds me of those things. And I think putting that kind of movie making right in 1995 is kind of very interesting, because I don't think that was a movie style except for 12 years earlier and 12 years later.
Yeah, I think that when you're talking about mumblecore, and obviously it had its big run in the 2000s. We talk about Margot at the Wedding. I think that came out in like 2005 or something like that. And we like to think of the those brothers that are kind of the
Duplass brothers.
The Duplass brothers.
I didn't know Baumbach first, but yeah.
Yeah, Baumbach a little bit when we watched
mumblecore. The Duplass brothers I like, but that theirs were a little more like I don't know, idiosyncratic. They were less arty, I guess.
Yeah. I think like Altman feels like the godfather of mumblecore almost.
Yeah. And I forget about John Cassavetes, because his movies are very good and they're kind of hard to watch sometimes because they are just people mumbling. Like it was, they are like a lot of just not a lot of plot, just people talking in like brutal realism, talking like they would if the microphone doesn't catch it, whatever. They're just acting like they're in the room in a real way. Saying things that aren't that important or interesting sometimes.
Women under the influence, is that the biggest women?
I think so, because the only thing I saw a few of his a long time ago, and now all I can think of is Down by Law, which is a Jim Jarmusch film. But early Jarmusch is a little
mumbly,
he's very like Cassavetes and mumblecore style too.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like you brought up Baumbach too. Like I feel like we get a lot more of the. And I'm thinking mostly of Kicking and Screaming, which we watched earlier this year. Like we get more from the man's point of view, or the tortured artist kind of point of view. That's what a lot of like Baumbach gives us. Jarmusch does some really, really good things too. His is very different. I think like Dead Man, Patterson, The Dead Won't Die. Like he's going crossing genres.
He really does. He really does. I think he cut his teeth though as like an art film guy that was doing more Cassavetes mumblecore kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Down by Law is the one I remember. It was very much like Tom Waits just doesn't make any sense, right? Like you can't even understand what's happening.
I was about to say you could barely understand him when he
when he's not like he's in a real movie.
Yeah.
All that to say, though, I think as we go talking about it, I will say that I remembered from watching this movie a year or two ago that it had some good things, but it was very melodramatic. And it is. But on my second watch, what I became more impressed by is not how it goes overboard on so many things, but like actually how subtle and subdued it is about a lot of different plot aspects and about what the movie's about, and telling the audience what the director or the creators want you to think about the characters, or what lessons to take away. It's actually very reserved and quiet and subdued, rather than being over the top melodramatic. But my first watch was that it was too much. It needs to rein it back in. Now I kind of respect it a lot more for being a quieter movie than I thought.
Yeah, and I think it's too quiet at times. Like I think that might be my biggest grief with this movie, is that it was a little too quiet for me, and I felt like seeds were planted for certain things, and then we just don't ever see that plant grow.
Maybe, yeah. And so much important stuff is off screen, right? My partner brought up, she was like, that movie kind of fucked me up. And she was like, but what I really like about it is it didn't have a scene, with like a Helter Skelter plane and somebody with a needle hanging out of there.
Oh yeah,
it's not doing like the over the top drug thing. In fact, a lot of the dark moments are off screen.
I was about to say, I don't think we see any drug use. Like,
barely. Yeah.
Outside of, very minimal drug use.
And we don't know when she's high, when she's not, and stuff like that, or when she's drunk or sober. I think that at the end of the day, we'll get into it. What I'll like about this movie is that somebody made the argument that like Georgia's a jerk and Sadie's a free spirit and a real artist. They could make that argument. If somebody made the argument that Sadie's a mess and Georgia's like, this is a movie and it's called Georgia because it's about the way like she and her like normal life gets destroyed by somebody else's disease, I could believe that. If somebody said it was about substance abuse being bad, I could believe that. Or it's not about that at all. It's actually about art. Like, I think there's a lot of arguments to take on this movie and about the characters and the actions in it that all are pretty legitimate. And I kind of think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, when you talk about their talent and the talent of the sisters, obviously one has talent, or one is the seen as the talented one, and the other one is clearly seen as not having talent. But there is something unique about the way that they both embrace the stage and present themselves. You have Sadie or Georgia being obviously the popular one, but she is very much like, Joni Mitchell or Joan Baez. Just get up there, play with your guitar and everything. Whereas I feel like Sadie has a love of what she's doing, and I don't necessarily feel the love of like from Georgia of music and appreciation of the music that's like.
But then if you turned around and were like, Georgia was like, hey, guess what? Like that song that I sang on stage isn't about me. It's about the song, and I sing the song. Every time you're on stage, Sadie, it's all about you. It's all about you, right? It's not about the music. It's about you. The music is like a tool for you, where I feel like I'm a tool for the music. I feel like that argument could be made in both sides, and I could be convinced both ways.
Yeah, I think especially with one of the bigger scenes in this movie that I think we'll talk about, I think you could see it multiple ways. I think it's kind of the crux of the movie, of where everything kind of comes crashing down. But we could talk about that, but let's take a brief look at our movie and talk about what was going on at that time. So this movie is called Georgia. It came out December 8th, 1995. It is directed by Ulu Grosbard. I did not look up any movies that they had done other than this. I did see that this movie was written by Barbara Turner, who happens to be Jennifer Jason Leigh's mother. The movie has cast as is included as Jennifer Jason Leigh as Sadie Flood, Mare Winningham as Georgia Flood. Awesome names. I was going to say, cool names. Ted Levine as Jake. That's Georgia's husband. Max Perlich as Axel Goldman. John Doe as Bobby. And John C. Reilly as Herman. Those are among the most famous characters most famous actors and characters in this movie. The synopsis for this movie is Georgia Flood is a well-to-do folk singer with a stable family and a loving husband. Her younger sister Sadie is the lead singer in a rowdy punk rock band. Living in Georgia's shadow causes Sadie to become obsessed with her, and she tries everything she can to live up to her big sister's achievements. Unfortunately, it is this very obsession, coupled with her self-destructive tendencies and rampant drug use, that keep her spiraling down the drain. Don't know.
So even that synopsis is definitely true, and then half of it is a reading of the movie.
Yeah,
like a lot of people around Sadie seem to think that she's obsessed with Georgia. I'm not so sure that she is.
I think she loves Georgia.
I think she has like hangups about Georgia for sure.
Yeah,
but that there's a big question there. Like there's a question mark behind whether or not Georgia's shadow is the reason for her self-destruction. And that's not made very specific, but it's hinted at a lot, but never really by Sadie. Sadie just has normal little sister stuff. Like she didn't say, I'm like this because I can't live up to you. She's like, oh, you're the perfect angel and I'm not. But she doesn't say like our childhood is the reason that I'm fucked up as a person.
Yeah, we don't get that. We don't get that at all. And the only time that it comes to a head is at the end of the movie.
Which is I remembered not everything about this movie. I remembered some about how she sang and a few of that there was a lot of long music takes. And I remember the porch scene at the end, which we'll get to. But that was the one thing that stuck in my head coming back like 2 years later. Oh, there's a pretty good porch scene at the end where the two sisters talk.
And it really is, I think, the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Other than some of the performances and stuff, I think are a really good scene. But I think that is a very we'll get to it.
But all that to say that even the synopsis is kind of like taking having a take about the movie because it's not entirely sure what it's about, you know?
Yeah. Did you watch this on Pluto?
No, we did rent it.
Oh, good. Because I found it on Pluto, and man, does it take breaks at the worst times.
Oh, that hurts. Certain movies that's not good on.
Yeah. Especially a movie like this, it's just not.
Tangent.
Really...
I've been making fun of Paramount Plus forever. I didn't know Paramount owned Pluto.
I didn't either.
Yeah, that's what I learned the other day. And so while everybody's like laughing at their streaming service being like the worst one, they're out there like every hotel in Vegas has free Pluto TV on there. You know? So.
It's not my favorite, but It did what I needed it to do. All right, this movie had a budget of $7 million and a box office return, unfortunately, of $1.1 million. This is a hard box office sell, though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you just don't have the push behind it, it got good reviews.
I think you can, I think you can trick people into seeing this movie. I think you can cut a trailer that makes people like hear country music, punk rock country music, sisters fighting, and like a good voiceover. It can make this seem like it's certainly not for everybody, but it could bring people to the box office. But they just must not have had the marketing or the right timing.
Or maybe like Jennifer Jason Leigh's maybe not the name that we think. Like, are they not pushing the single white female? I don't even know if single white female did well. Mayor Winningham, is Mayor Winningham that big of a name to pull in for this?
But if you sell this like oh my God, what's the movie that's been made 5 times? Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga.
Oh, Star is Born.
Yeah, if you sell this like A Star is Born in the trailer and the previews at the right time of year, I think people just show up.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even think of Star is Born whenever I was thinking of movies.
I didn't either. It just stopped me. I was like, how would you market this movie even if the people are going to be disappointed when they leave the theater? I think that's how you market it. Like it's A Star is Born.
You put Judy Garland,
sisters,
but you have to put I think you have to put a singer in this in order for it to market that way.
Yeah, they don't have any box. All they got is Buffalo Bob. They don't have anybody like saying we got to go see that for them.
Was she a great big fat person? Love Ted Levine. This, like I said, this movie did get really good reviews at the time. 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb is a little bit lower, 6.5. Letterboxd at a 3.4 out of 5. Roger Ebert loved this movie. He said it was a complex, deeply knowledgeable story about a truly lost soul and her downward spiral. I didn't claim.
He also pointed out that how like it's about how alcoholism and mental illness are family diseases. And I do think that's like a core theme to the movie. It's pretty astute. That's probably not something that's also being shown as astutely in 1995.
Yeah, we don't get anything about their mom, their mother, and we get a brief scene with their father, and we still like. I just feel like we're never getting enough. And again, that just goes to me like. Yeah. I want more. Why are these people doing these things? Why is this relationship? I think that's going to
follow the movie. I'm ready to think it might be a strength as well, though. You know, depending.
Yeah. Now Christopher Noll. It was hard to find one of these. There wasn't a lot of reviews that I could pull from. Christopher Noll said that unless you're dying to hear Velvet Underground tunes played badly at bar mitzvahs, I'm recommend keeping This Georgia off your mind.
There's a lot of Velvet Underground in this. Which I liked. You're right. None of them are really good covers, but I like that they're around.
This movie was
Janet Maslin is the one who made me think of Cassavetes in her review. But she had the line, Sadie would be unbearable if she didn't feel so real. And I do think that that's the line it kind of crosses where Sadie feels at the beginning, especially as an overacting like a Hollywood actress overacting, being a wild kid and a heroin addict. But by the end, this movie's very cringe inducing and very like hard to look at sometimes through its addiction and through Sadie's personality. But I think that also has, again, it's like melodrama, like it's way too heightened. And then it's also so realistic where I'm like, that is what it's like to know somebody like that. And I think we've all come across or been related to or loved or avoided people who were that over the top with their neediness and their messiness or with their actual addiction. But I like that. Yeah, she would be unbearable if she wasn't so real.
And that's why I think whenever I did my recast back in 95, I thought of Juliette Lewis. I think Juliette Lewis takes it too far to where she is just like unbearable and not a real person at all. Yeah. Like she's playing the other sister, you know, and just going way too far with that. If you haven't seen The Other Sister, it's
I have not. No. But like a lot of Hollywood actresses, actors, and directors would take this and make it like single white female, where like this is somewhat believable, but it's about a person who is insane, who you're not going to meet in your life. Like, you know, you're not going to meet anybody this insane.
I got a little bit of. We watched it earlier, Boys on the Side. I felt a little bit of Drew Barrymore from that movie. Drew Barrymore and kind of with the not the Whoopi character, but the other character in there, like
I don't think I've seen Boys on the Side.
It was. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed that movie.
I've heard people say good things about it.
I thought it was seen as a bad movie back in the day, but maybe that was just because of what it was about and like the lesbian.
There was an era where
of
we really
it,
hated Drew Barrymore too, like where we decided to turn our backs on Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, and that was kind of in her Wild Child days, and people were like, "Oh, is she gonna live? You know, is she gonna end up hurting herself?" So I do think that was during that phase of her life. But yeah, this gave me a little bit of Boys on the Side vibes. Boys on the Side has a lot more of a plot. But Drew Barrymore's a great pull for another like Sadie-like character.
Yeah, that was definitely a consideration I had in the recast.
Legacy, this movie did get nominated for 1 Academy Award, which is kind of the reason why I put it on this list. I had never heard of Georgia before, and Mare Winningham was actually nominated for Best Actress in a Supporting Role for this film.
She's really good.
And I think it's interesting, though, that throughout the entire award season, it was like Mare was picking up nominations and everything, but Jennifer Jason Leigh was picking up a lot of nominations along the way, too. I think, up until the Golden Globes and the Spirit Awards, and then it kind of just like cuts off. No BAFTA, none of that stuff for Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you ran across the anecdote, but while she was at the Oscars, Mare Winningham said that Meryl Streep grabbed her and talked to her for a minute and was like, "Jennifer should be here." And she's like, I know. So I don't know if that's just like Hollywood politeness or whatever.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep was kind of like, saying it's kind of screwed up. Like, you belong here. Congratulations, but Jennifer should be here too.
Mare should have brought her as her date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure she was like barred from the building.
No,
but
I know.
Honestly, it would seem like a role that they would nominate and not give the award to.
Yeah. And I can't remember. This might be an Emma Thompson year for Sense and Sensibility. If we're looking at 96 Oscar.
Susan Sarandon was in there for something, I saw.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is Susan Sarandon for Dead Man Walking.
Okay, is that who wins?
I think that is who wins. I'm going to look real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's Susan Sarandon, Elizabeth Shue, Sharon Stone, Meryl Streep, and Emma Thompson. That's a tough year.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying Jennifer Jason Leigh doesn't necessarily deserve the Oscar for this performance, but it's as a forgotten movie. I kind of want to give her some flowers about it.
Yeah.
I think it's brave and very committed, and she was very passionate about this role.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas. I've seen the other ones. I'm thinking, like, out of those, if I were to knock somebody off, it might be Susan Sarandon for Dead Man Walking.
Yeah,
she's great in it.
Yeah.
But it is an Oscar baity movie. And not as complicated as some of like Sadie would be, but she's also not my favorite in this movie either. But all right, so let's talk about the best scenes in this movie. We've already mentioned a couple of them. I actually had, 7 written down, and I think I could have went a little bit harder on that and went even more scenes wise. But there were a lot that were just like performances.
I told you I didn't have a list, but I made a quick one at the last second, so I do kind of have the order of the way things happen in my head.
And the first one I have is the Hard Times performance.
Yeah, I mean it's really nice that this the movie is bookended by the same song. And the first time is you see a little bit of Sadie's messy life, but then she shows up back home, presumably because she doesn't have anything going on, needs some money or a place to stay for a while. It doesn't say that she's like cleaning out or anything, just that she had a gig with some weird guy and then it died, and she was like, maybe I'll go back home and hang out there for a little while, which it seems like it's something she does like every couple of years.
Yeah.
Runs off, is wild, maybe in a unhealthy way, and then comes back home randomly. It's like, I'm here. I can stay with you guys. I can be messy in your house now. But booking the movie is a version of Hard Times Come Again No More, which is a really cool song.
I love that song. There was a really good cover of it within the last 20 years by a band called East Mountain South.
Oh, yeah?
That might have been on like a Cameron Crowe soundtrack. It might have been on like Elizabethtown soundtrack or something like that. But man, that version is one of my favorites of this song.
Yeah, it's really good, and it really speaks to. I mean, it's a very simple thematic song of just suffering is key to life, and the constant prayer is that, hey, I just hope whatever happened in the past doesn't happen again. Hard times don't come around anymore.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, so now Sadie's showing up back at her house, and we get the introduction to her famous, beloved, but very, very stoic and soft, like country singing sister, singing this song on stage to a lot of adoration.
And I really like that you picked up that you said the thing about being bookended by this. And I love that the performance is obviously it's Georgia on stage singing it, and Sadie is in the audience, like just gushing over it and like cry. You can see tears in her eyes.
Yeah, she's very emotional about watching her sister kick this much ass and be this moving.
But then I love the end of it, and this comes. Sadie is singing it at the same time that Georgia is singing it in separate venues after we've kind of got a cleaned up version of Sadie. Like they're just, I like that ending. I do
think the ending is good. I think the last 10, 15 minutes of this movie are really good.
Yeah. I almost really hated this movie if it did not end the way that it did.
Yeah.
And I'm being a little harsh on it. I didn't hate this movie. But yeah, I really like the like bookending it with these two performances of Hard Times, and I really like the beginning of it because of seeing like Sadie admire her sister so much, and I don't ever feel that she's envious of Georgia. Like she talks lovingly. She's like, you were given a gift. God kissed you is what I think that's part of what it is. Like, Dad always said that God kissed you.
Dad always said that God kissed you.
Yeah.
And I do think that, I also think that, I think I like that part of Sadie's character too, because, well, I don't know. I would say in personal experience, but I think through other people who have ever been black sheep in families or have been kind of the designated patient, the fucked up person in a family or whatever, it never is really like it not often is a jealousy of another person. It might be a jealousy of their ease in life, but not that they want to be there. I don't think Sadie wishes she was Georgia. I think Sadie really enjoys being Sadie, but just like wants it to break her way and be a little easier.
And I do think we get glimpses into Georgia's life, and that Georgia is a normal person with normal problems. And whether we get it from Georgia herself or her dad or just his presence being there and them kind of just giving a little bit of a talk about him, or with Ted Levine's character when
it's funny that once they're in the car together, shortly after this first scene, like he unloads a bunch of stuff. Like, I cheated on her, she cheated on me. We got money problems, like all of this personal stuff that doesn't come up again in the movie at least, and isn't even like shown again. So again, it's a weird choice where you could be like frustrated by Georgia getting a lack of characterization, being kind of a two-dimensional stoic character. Or you could maybe do the movie a favor and like read more into that. I don't know. You have to decide who you think Georgia is based on what you see, and you mostly only see her through Sadie's eyes.
Yeah, and I can see people thinking that Georgia is very cold and standoffish and not. Again, I already said the part about like maybe she's not feeling the love of the music that Sadie has about music.
And I came around in this viewing. I think I remember thinking she was on the cold side, and I kind of agreed. But it feels like especially her husband, Ted Levine, like sticks up for Sadie like one too many times.
It's uncomfortable. I'm glad Ted Levine got a role where he is not, skinning women and wearing their skin as clothes and stuff like that. But I don't get this character. And
I love it. He's my favorite character in the movie.
I mean, I just like, what happened with him to where why is he defending Sadie so much? Was there
it's either a flaw or a strength of the movie where like you get the glimpses you get and you don't get all of it.
Yeah.
I think that he's known Sadie for almost as long as Georgia has, right? And so this is his approach to being married to a woman like Georgia with a very difficult sister. And because maybe the love is different or later or not as deep, is not as harshly upset about Sadie. Or because he agrees with Georgia overall, but needs Georgia to come a little bit to a warmer place about Sadie, ends up being in the unhappy position of kind of defending her sometimes.
Yeah.
But you don't know these things. You kind of like have to like read in between the lines about it with the movie. You just kind of see what people say and do. I do think that by the end, though, like I was like, all right, man, like you need to also say something in support of Georgia, of your wife.
Yeah, like I just feel like he's a little reckless with Sadie, and
yeah, I
kind
agree.
of gasses her up a little too much. You know, yeah, we like that person who's brave and rambunctious and kind of does her own thing. Like maybe that's you projecting that you want your wife to be a little bit more of Sadie,
or that you've been like I don't know, like he's been domesticated, but they both domesticated each other, and that he's missing a little bit of a wilder youth when they were in the music scene, instead of just like the kind of like, because he's not the tour manager anymore. He mentions that pretty early on. He used to be the tour manager, but now he's like a kind of stay-at-home housekeeper with a few gigs going on and things. And so he's like, when Sadie comes around, I feel alive like I used to, like you used to be when we met, that kind of thing. But then again, none of that's in the dialogue. That's just you just see Ted Levine, the husband character, sticking up for Sadie, not constantly, not in the loudest ways possible, pretty softly, which is what I like about his character. Yeah.
I do like the softness of his character, but I do think that I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, do you like her? Do you like? That's what I felt like the whole.
There's
movie,
a couple of jokes in there where she like flirts with him.
Yes,
and I think especially this time, I didn't think that much about him because I knew that wasn't a plot element. But I think the first time you watch it, you're like, wait, is he gonna fuck Sadie? Are they gonna like? Or is she gonna try to fuck him? Is that gonna be like a plot development? And it's not. I think that they're just very warm toward each other, and she does flirt with him, but I don't think it's in a meaningful way. I think it is like more familial love, just expressed in that way occasionally.
Just one of the other things that Georgia got right, like, oh, you picked a good one, you got a good one.
Yes, right.
She's always talking about
at some point, like, I know you're the only man for me, Jake, or whatever. Like, you know, like the only good man in the world is, you know, you, or like says that to him, which is like, yeah, in a lot of context inappropriate. But the way the characters all treated, including Georgia, it feels appropriate to their dynamic.
And just
it's not constant. She's not hanging all over him. It's not
no. There's not any of that. It was just a little weird at times. And,
it was, yeah.
And then with especially once what's his name comes around, Axel. Oh god, I just feel so bad for Axel.
I feel bad for Axel.
But I get why,
and that's one of the things Georgia says, because she's so tight-lipped about Sadie. Sadie keeps coming around throughout the movie and being messy in the middle of Georgia's very neat life. And what I also like about it is that Georgia is not portrayed to be the iciest cunt in the world. Like, she's not. She's very warm. She cares about Sadie clearly. She wants what's best for her. But I really liked about her performance, it felt very real to me about being around an addict, where I think in like Ted Levine's eyes, she's not doing anything that bad right now. She's not messing up right now. And Georgia just hates it because she can see through it all and knows that she will eventually. She's still broken. She's still sick. She's still going to destroy her own life, and I'm going to have to clean it up, or she's going to destroy my life. And if she destroys her own life, I'm going to be sad too because I love her. And so like there's this tension that Georgia carries around, and she wants to be mad at Sadie and has a good reason to, because she's right. She knows what Sadie's like and what she's going through. But she's not allowed to say it out loud, or she's the dick. She's the jerk.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think there's one point when Georgia even says something. I have a quote here from Georgia about Sadie, but where she's like, she'll devour them all essentially. Like she just takes everybody down with her.
But when Sadie shows up and is like, it's fine, I'm fine. Sure, I still drink or whatever. I'm just looking for a new gig. I just need a little money. I just need a couple weeks. Like everything's cool or whatever. Like everybody wants to take that at face value, because she's not falling over drunk right now, or it's hanging with a needle out of her arm, or dirty or unkempt or anything, and other than being like a punk. But Georgia just can tell, as her sister, I think, just knows you're not fine, and you're gonna fall off whatever semi wagon you're on, and it's gonna be the same thing all over again. But she's not allowed to let that tension out until Sadie proves her right. And that can be very frustrating with addicts. Like, I've been around addicts I've cared about, who I'm like, I know you're high. Everybody knows you're high, but like, what are we going to do? Like, blow up the, family dinner or the friends dinner or like the thing right now because you're acting normal enough and you're just going to react offensively. But I know what's going on. I know what this is leading to.
I do think it is impressive the way that the movie tackles moments like that, whether it's the family dinner, which is one of my scenes, or the concert, the AIDS AIDS concert that we
which is like the centerpiece of the film.
Yes. And like how Georgia reacts or in the moment with Sadie. And it gets brought up on the porch talk too about like, oh, you're trying to save me and do all that. But I do think that there is a like familiarity with Georgia. I've been around Sadie enough to know what her addiction looks like. I'm not saving, like, if this is my version of saving her or saving the performance, it was very like it's still very hands-on.
It wasn't much, yeah.
It was not much, but it was a lot to Sadie at that time. She did not like that, but it was barely like I had to turn the volume up during the AIDS concert scene because I got the subtitles showing me that she's like humming along and like trying to guide her along.
I can hear her voice. But yeah. So for any listeners, like not a lot happens. She does like Sadie kind of chills out. She gets in with the local band. I got to point out her performance of Almost Blue is Jennifer Jason Leigh's best.
My next one
is the best performance that she has, and it's very heartbreaking and just a beautiful song that she has a really good version of. I don't think it adds much to that other than to show that she has soul and can sing a little nicer if she wants to. But that's just like her kind of audition to an old local band that she's joined. And then she meets Axel, who's like a sweet guy way in over his head and kind of like, you know, dates him for a while. Eventually in the movie marries him, even though Axel's too kind of dumb to know that it's never that serious. And at one point, one of the few things Georgia says out loud at this point in the movie is, I feel bad for Axel.
Yeah.
Like she won't say yet. She won't yell at Sadie yet. She won't kick her out of her house. She won't say, you're doing this and this, prove it to me. But she will like vocally say, I do feel bad for Axel because she can see it coming that he's just caught up in her devouring, need, Sadie's devouring need.
And I do think that Axel is one of the parts of the movie that I enjoyed the most because it did feel like Georgia accepted, hey, this is who Sadie chose. And she's happy. I'm going to play along with this, even though I know what the result is going to be. And and she welcomes him in. And like, I really love the moment. That
she's in a way that's very like well done is she's a little standoffish. She's never mean to Axel. She's very welcoming to him, but she's like, I'm not getting attached to this guy.
But right? I love that scene when they're walking down the street and he's telling her like, all the things that Sadie needs or about kind of like hinting at Sadie's addiction.
Sadie's in a bad place. Axel doesn't know where to go, goes to the rock in Sadie's life, which is her sister Georgia, and starts like kind of asking for advice or help in certain ways. And at first Georgia's kind of like frustrated about it because it's like, yeah, this is her. This is what she is. Like, you should know that this is who she is. She'll always be like this. But then when she sees like somebody love her sister as much as he does, she like takes his arm or whatever, and they walk hand in hand as to go get coffee. I think that's a very sweet moment.
Yes, I love that moment when she grabs his arm.
Yeah,
because he is just kind of like opened up to her a little bit more. Because everything that he's saying from that point on is either something that Sadie has told him to ask, like it's kind of like, do you need money? And him kind of like hinting at needing things. And then I do feel like there is a little bit of a break where he's like, yeah, this is just it's hard. It's bad. Yeah. Like, you're not going to be around much longer.
And at that point, Georgia can then treat Axel as a full human being because they're at least on the same page enough. And then they walk away in silence, like arm in arm, as in like, we're both dealing with loving this person who can never love us back or herself in the same way.
Yeah, I really love that. Nice. I know we're jumping around a lot. Yeah. The Jewish wedding, I just want to point out as another scene. One, because at first I thought it was hilarious.
It's very funny.
They're just in like a punk version. Yeah, and it's just like that's the first time that we really get Sadie singing solo by herself and it not being good. And everybody's having a good time though, because I think they feed off of it. I think they're feeding off their energy. There was there are these little things in this movie, whether it's like the camera showing us who I'm assuming might be the father of the bride or the father of the groom there, like whispering to somebody. And I feel like it's put in there to make us think that they're disappointed about the music that's being played. Or
yes, but they don't show it enough.
They never see it. We never see it.
Then you as the audience member are supposed to be like, and that's why sometimes this movie is like not about substance abuse or sisters. It's about art a little bit, where it's like, well, I don't know. Is this good? Or is this good in a way that's not for me, but is good? Nobody seems to be mad. Do they know what they were getting? Are they happy that they're getting what they're getting? In fact, you don't even know until the porch scene later that Georgia thinks that Jennifer Jason Leigh can't sing very well.
Yeah.
You know, like that is left in the air. Nobody says that to her or about her. And so you're left with everybody's either feeding on her energy or a matter of taste and what real art is. Do you want the boring Joan Baez, like slow version of Georgia? Because a lot of times I don't want to listen to that. I'd rather listen to Sadie's versions of things.
Well, that's the thing that I keep questioning myself, because I don't think that Jennifer Jason Leigh's doing an amazing performance, and I do think that she can sing. That's beside the point. But being the complete opposite of Georgia and their singing styles and whatever they're, how they are going at it. But like, why would Bobby even allow her in the band if he didn't think that she was a good backup singer? Like, why, that's what I keep asking.
Although
myself.
Bobby's
like,
not the best singer either.
No, but Bobby, has a career from that. But if I'm Georgia, why do I love my sister, and I know that my Jake has told me that I need to be a little bit softer on my sister. Why do I even give her a slot, even if it's maybe like the latest slot ever? Why do I give my sister a slot at the AIDS concert unless I know that
it's never
she's
talked about
got something?
Yeah,
that is just unspoken. Like you cannot, and that is what
is she being a little bit of a martyr too? Like, I mean, there's a scene right after her and Axel get married, and they do that really beautiful duet together that feels half aggressive and half sweet. And that's what I think. It's what Jennifer Jason Leigh brings it a lot. Like when they do that song, which was a Mary Winningham song, which is kind of interesting. I like that song, "If I Wanted" or something. Where like in the duet, it feels like Sadie's shitting all over her sister's song by singing the way she sings.
Yeah,
or that she's actually expressing anger through the way she sings, but then it's still so moved to tears that she did a duet with her sister by the end. And she's as confused as we are. But then later on, Mary Winningham's character Georgia says like. Jake's like, that was really sweet that you went up there with your sister and did that. And she was like, did I really have a choice? Like she put me on the spot. Everybody's cheering for me. When do I say, no, you can't have this from me? I don't get a chance to. But then she doesn't have to give her that spot, like you said, at the AIDS concert, which is a much bigger deal, but chooses to. But maybe that's part of like a martyr complex, or maybe she kind of believes in Sadie.
I mean, AIDS didn't get cured, so... That
really did a lot of work.
It might be Sadie's fault.
HIV is well controlled with medication.
It's true.
But that is that. All right, so let's just get to that then. The center point of the movie is when she's at the AIDS concert, and it's like what, 7 minutes?
The actual song is 9 minutes long.
Okay.
The Van Morrison song is 9 minutes and 11 seconds.
Okay.
9/11, never forget. Got it. Yeah, and it is a long, drawn out, and I do think Van Morrison has a very good voice, and I could listen to Van Morrison saying the same thing over and over and over again, but 9 minutes is a long time. But that,
and so then she gives her that spot, but she also gives her that song. Whereas if she wanted to like throw a bone to Sadie, but control her on her stage, so people don't have to listen to her bad singing or embarrass herself, she could have like said, "Hey, come do this duet with me. That's 3.5 minutes, and the band's just going to end at the end."
Yeah, let's do a Bob Dylan, Joan Baez duet kind of thing. Let's do that thing.
But she lets Sadie come up on this huge stage, and with her raw, gut punchy, screamy, screechy voice, kind of vocally ad lib on the 9-minute Van Morrison song. But then seems to think it's gone on too long and it's embarrassing. Seems to be. And so she comes back on with the guitar off from the backstage and starts singing along as in like, let's wrap this up,
Yeah. I do think it's unique too that they show audience reactions to the song, especially early in it when they're all listening to her. I mean, there are people that are clearly vibing to what Sadie is doing. I think if you're the director of this, then you wouldn't have shown that. You would have shown and you wanted people to be like, oh yeah, she is a terrible singer. You wouldn't have shown that. Now she does get like very quiet applause, but during the performance and everything, I think that people are kind of digging it.
Right. It's definitely, that's got to be the hardest question as a director to like decide what to film there, because that tells the audience more, it tips your hand to the audience more than you want to. So it's like, how loud do we want the audience to be? How many people does we want to sound like enjoyed it? How many people are just bored or confused, or how many people are whispering to each other like, this is embarrassing, and I think he does what he can to show that nobody's thrilled, but like a few people dig it, or nobody's offended either, to keep it as neutral as possible.
And I think that we've already said that this is kind of the crux of the movie, and a performance that I don't know, you go one way or the other on. And you feel both of them. Like you feel they're both emotions.
Well, and then the scene after this is the drive home. That's and Sadie's drunk, so she starts with her throwing up on the side of the road. Georgia's mad at her husband for giving her drinks, taking her to a bar.
Freaking pissed.
Yeah.
And then this is when her and Axel get out, right?
Yeah, she comes back in and seems unperturbed or unembarrassed that she's so drunk. And then starts asking everybody's like, "You did great tonight, Sadie." He's like, "Oh, thank you, I did great too." And starts needling her sister like, "Do you think I did great? You had to come save me, didn't you? You thought I needed saving, right?" And it's completely being a little monster for sure. Until it comes to one of those like standoff things, like, "You want to get out of the car? Get out of the car. I don't care." Like. Yeah. He's like, whatever. And then Axel's like, "Don't get out of the car. We don't have a way to get home." And
we're in the middle of nowhere.
He follows her out of the car. They eventually hitchhike, and Georgia drives home. And this is kind of when, right after that, Axel leaves her. And this is her like descent into like full heroin use and addiction, which is done interestingly.
I also think it's unique, the line that Jake says after Sadie gets picked up. He's like, "How long were you willing to wait?"
Yeah. Because you sat there with him, watching them in your rear view hitchhike. You didn't drive away, so you're hoping she turns around and says, "I'm sorry, let's go home."
Yeah. Like, are you
that also stubborn? Don't want to get out of the car or drive back there and say, "Get in the car. Let's not do this." Like, how
stubborn are you enough to wait there and wait for her to apologize?
Or how much do you love her? Because it's the same.
Right? It's like what is the reaction? I feel like that's a big part of this movie is like, what am I supposed to think about this? I've always got like two options. Do I think that Jake has a thing for Sadie, or do I think that Jake is just trying to be a passive, loving person to his sister-in-law, and give her as many chances? When it comes
to movies about addiction and loving people who are addicts, they're so often, and it's okay that these movies exist, but they're so often like just a spiral deeply into, now you put needles in your arm, so you're gonna throw lamps and hit people and almost kill somebody and light the house on fire. And yet, like, when people really struggle with people they love having addiction, it's more of scenes like that in the car.
Yeah.
Where, like, the tension just rises so high, and then it becomes, like, this defensiveness, this aggression that you don't know. If I touch it, it all goes bad. If I don't do anything, I'm just waiting for it all to go bad. And I don't know whether to go beg her to get back in the car or to kick her out and cut her off or to drive away. I don't know how stubborn to be or how much to love this person. And I do think that that's done very well through Georgia.
And then Sadie, the movie is called Georgia, but it's mostly about Sadie. Sadie goes to like San Francisco, hooks back up with Chasman.
Chasman. The Chaz man.
The Chaz man. Gets back on drugs, and then
in a brief scene is the only time you've seen for sure that she does heroin. Right? Yeah. The only time you see that she does heroin for sure. And you don't see her do it. You don't see him do it. They're laying down. I think it's a really nice scene because it's very tragic. But it's like, let's get cleaned up and then make all these big plans while they're high. And then, but he also says, he has a needle next to him on the desk, like, don't mess up with my wake up medicine or whatever, like this is for my wake up. Like, don't move that. I want that to be right there in the morning. So they're sitting there telling each other that things are going to get better and they're going to get clean, while also making plans to stay high, which is a heartbreaking version of what like being in a cycle of addiction is really like.
Yeah.
But that's the most like actual heroin use on screen that you see. And then what you see after that, which is fascinating choice as a director, is just who knows how long, how many weeks, days, weeks, or months later, a cut to Jennifer Jason Leigh in an airport looking like she's been living on the street doing heroin for her whole life.
Yeah. And she says, I think, doesn't she say it's like alcohol, or somebody say something about coming off of alcohol, or I might have made that up in my head. I think
there's some little thing about that. I mean, people do say like detoxing off of alcohol is harder than heroin.
Yeah. But obviously she's reached out to Georgia.
People say that, real quick, detoxing from heroin has never killed anybody, but detoxing off of alcohol without the proper medical care.
Yes, that's what it is. Obviously she's called Georgia to get her a ticket and everything, and then we get the whole like that very tense situation with the lady at the airport, who I do think handles herself very well.
Like not allowed, like barefoot in clothes that look like, just horrible, dirty clothes. Nothing. I mean, she looks gaunt and skinny and fucked up, and she's mad immediately. She has a big scene with the person at the airport. That she says that a ticket's been bought for her. You don't know if that's true,
right?
Or who bought it. You don't know that it's been a long time, really. You just kind of notice that she's way more messed up than she used to be. Presumably, it was Georgia that bought it because that's where she ends up flying to. But then there's a big scene at the gate where they won't let her on the plane without shoes, and she has a whole come apart, screaming at people to give her her shoes until some guy finally does.
And I think that's interesting too, that either Sadie has gotten her way, has broken people down to either let her get on or get a ticket to somewhere, let her get on the plane without following the rules, or that's one way to look at it. Like she always gets her way and now she's not getting her way, but it's affecting other people around her. And all these people are like breaking down. Like the kid gives them her shoes. I don't know if he does it out of because he feels sorry for her, or we don't get any of that.
Fear, bullying, you don't know. And it's so like true to addiction, where throughout this whole movie, even as the audience who doesn't know Sadie as well as Georgia does, is like, oh well, this is really messy. But an addict always has a reason why something happens. It's like, well, it was the flu and the NyQuil. Oh, it was this, or it's like, I mean, it's hard to get a gig out here. I'm trying to make it big. Like she's never doing anything that bad immediately. And even in the addict's mind, I think there's always a story and a narrative about like, well, at least I'm not this. At least I'm not this.
Yeah.
And then the rock bottom moment usually is like when you're in the airport and you remember a few days later that you were screaming at random people to give them your shoes. And you're like, all right, well, I can't even like lie. I can't lie to anybody else. And I can't lie to myself anymore about like how little control I have. But the amount of like narrative building that will go on in a sick addict's head, like about why there's a million reasons why their life is messy, and it's not the substance,
Yeah.
But you get that bad, and you got the only person to call is the person you know is going to send you to rehab, and you have that scene in the bathroom, which is very brief but very well done, where she acts normal, like she's going to joke through it, and then just can't do it anymore, and then cries into George's arms and says, "I didn't know who else to call."
Yeah. And then we get her detoxed, and we see truly Jennifer Jason Leigh at her healthy. She's got a shaved head, but she looks like she doesn't have any makeup on. She doesn't. She looks healthier. And then we set that up for the porch talk where everything kind of comes to a head. But it's still not, like,
there's a good scene in there too with Georgia sitting in the rehab bedroom with her, where like she's still tense. And she's like, "I'm here. I'll always be here, but I don't know what you expect me to do here." Like you want to like laugh and joke about things, or I'm sorry about the robe, or she's like, "You can have the robe. I don't care about the robe." And it's like, "Well, don't do that. Don't be like that." And it's like, "Well, what do you? I don't know what to do." Like,
yeah,
are we just gonna sit here and not talk about this? Like, we're not gonna talk about you being in rehab and pretend like everything's back to normal. Like we cured that demon. We clearly haven't. And then they do have a moment where they do end up laughing to each other about how fucked up Sadie is, about how she forgot the name of the guy. She's so fucked up with her narratives that she's like, "Oh, did I tell you there's a guy who really loves me, who's like actually very successful? His name's Steve." And George is like, "You did tell me. You said his name was Sam. You're talking about Sam? You forgot you've got your own guy, like." And then
which is the second time that she's done that.
Yeah.
One of my laugh out loud moments of this, but like, yeah, we do get that after. That is a good scene. I did not write that one down. I forgot about that scene, but the porch talk and all of the scenes between Georgia and Sadie come to this big head at this porch talk, and it's still not like the blow up that you are expecting.
It's not a blow up. It's not that long.
It's very brief. They're both just giving it to you. Like,
yeah,
it's great acting. It is like, again, the subtleness of it is good. And Mare Winningham just being like, "You can't sing."
Yeah.
Like, "I'm sorry. I got the talent. You're tough, kid."
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, and that's when she says like, "You're just this thing that's going to keep devouring everybody."
Yes, that's the line.
Yeah,
that's the line about it.
Yeah, you've got this sickness in you, and it's got to eat. You have this hunger in you, and it's just going to eat everything around you, and that's just what you are. And you can't even sing. To which, like, again, we don't know how to feel about it, but we know how Sadie feels about it because her last line is "you." Her last line is "You wish."
You wish. Yeah.
You wish I was as bad as you think I am. I'm not that bad because when I'm bringing something, that your coldness can't, that you have no passion for music.
And then we get the bookend scene with the them both singing Hard Times. One singing her traditional Hard Time, the other one doing it in a more punk way.
In a punk way, in a like less crowded bar. And she and then the last 2 lines in the movie are pretty good because at the end, once they both have finished, it's cross-cutting between their versions. She goes, "Nobody sings that song like my sister." And then somebody in the audience says, "Who?" And she goes, "Thanks, comrade."
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, comrade.
Yeah, it makes me feel good that you don't know who the fuck my sister is.
Finally.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your favorite character, or were there some scene stealers in this?
It was Jake. I love Jake.
You love Jake. I mean, I'm gonna go with my favorite character is Georgia, or
Georgia's
Axel.
good.
I love Axel.
Axel's really good. Herman, we didn't talk about Herman much. John C. Reilly.
He was on my list of scene stealers. I also wanted to put a shout out to Clay, who might be the hardest working musician in this town because he is in almost every scene as a part of a band.
Doing different instruments?
Yes.
Doing saxophone and harmonica?
Yes.
And he shows up in a different band. And I was like, "Oh, you're in this band now? Aren't you the guy from the other band?"
Yes, he was in Georgia's band at the AIDS concert. And I was like, "Hey, Clay, you're getting..."
I noticed him too. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a working musician, man. He's just trying to get it done.
Yes, and he is working. Both of those guys, Clay and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they're both actual musicians. Jimmy Z is the guy who played Clay, by the way.
Jimmy Z.
Jimmy Z and the boys.
I will say that, I could quibble as well with like what Jake's decisions are in supporting Sadie sometimes over Georgia. I do think that I disagree with some of that, but I think that he's a very like calming presence. I feel like he has this, even though he knows there's hurricanes happening around them between the two sisters, he knows well enough mostly to stay quiet, just be nice, don't worry. It'll play itself out and I'll keep going. So I liked it every time he was on screen.
The only thing I wish I got more of was Georgia. I wanted to know that Georgia loved him.
Yes.
Because I knew that Jake loved Georgia, even though when he's going through his whole speech about...
you could tell that he's very devoted to her.
We cheated on each other. She cheated. I cheated. But I love that woman. Like, that's one thing I know is that
Georgia is an enigma in the movie for sure.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of what she feels. And I think that would have helped a little bit. Even like a tiny little moment between them would have helped, because then you could see like everything you think about her can be filtered more like entirely through Sadie in their relationship.
Yeah.
Instead of like, well, is this person just cold all the time to everybody?
Yeah.
Because their kids are duds.
Yes, such duds.
There's not a lot of warmth between the kids and the parents either. Yeah.
No, we don't get a lot of them. Mish and whatever the kid's name is that was always asleep. That little boy who I thought was going to be a baby and is not a baby, is like a fully grown boy. What are your favorite quotes? I only had one because I couldn't remember.
About them. I think the only ones I wrote down were those final quotes. I think there's a lot of little funny things in the just throwaway comments in the movie that are kind of funny, but I didn't have the time to write them all down.
Georgia says Sadie's pain must be fed, and we're all here to serve.
Yeah.
I think she said that to Axel, or no, she might say that to Jake.
Right. Yes, and I do. Yeah, I think that's a very good pithy explanation of what it's like to be around a person like Sadie.
Yeah. Biggest laugh, cry, scare, or thrill?
My biggest cry. We got to give a little time for Herman, John C. Reilly, when he gets kicked out of the band and he like accepts it, kind of. And then there's a really good scene where him and Sadie are just like, I wanted to smoke a cigarette on the couch a lot in this movie too. They're doing a lot of that. No TV on, just like talking, like, what are you gonna do next, Herman? And he goes, I don't know. And he really just like,
I can get some gigs.
Yeah, he does that, but he also says, I don't want to, like, he says so pathetically, he's going through all of his options as a person who has no way to make money and who is a drug addict. And he talks about, like, I can go to another city, but I don't know how to score in another city. I went to this place and I got robbed. I went to this place and I got robbed. And like, and then he just gets like really quiet and he goes, I just don't want to not have a place to stay, you know, like he's just so scared of not having a roof. And he kind of sees that that's probably what's going to happen to him.
Yeah. And
then later on, one of the band members talks to like Sadie while she's in rehab and mentions that Herman died. You know,
it's Clay.
It was Clay. Yeah.
It was Clay. Clay's the man.
Well, that's my biggest cry is justice for Herman.
Yeah. Yeah. I have two laughs, and one of them is Herman. Whenever Sadie comes out of the bathroom from their bowling alley gig, and he was like, "What are you doing in there?" And she's like, "Yeah, it was smack." He's like, "You didn't ask me if I wanted to do any."
And she goes, "It was Coke," and she was like, "I did offer." And he goes, "Did you? Well, why didn't you ask me if I wanted it?" She was like, I did offer.
I did, you drug fool.
Man.
And then the other one was after Georgia had challenged Sadie on Axel's name, last name. And then Sadie comes home and she goes, "Your last name's Goldman, right? Axel Goldman, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I knew it.
I knew it. I knew it."
It's like, God, I hate you, Sadie. This guy is just so nice. WTF moments.
Oh, there is a bunch, I bet. I don't have one written down.
Trucker. Trucker's a
the opening sequence of the movie. Trucker's a WTF moment. But everybody seems to know about Trucker.
Yeah, because he's recorded and he's a guy and he did some gigs with it. And one thing I like about this movie is that we don't get a lot of Trucker and Sadie's relationship.
So there's
even avoids
choices to leave things unshown and unsaid that I think make this movie endlessly interesting to me. Whether that's a good choice or a bad choice at any given moment, all these choices to leave things unshown or unsaid. So you hear Sadie talk about what it was like her time with Trucker. You hear a bunch of people say, "Weren't you with Trucker?" And she's like, "For half a minute, not anymore."
And
but
Bobby even asked her, he's like, "Did you fuck Trucker?"
Yeah, right.
And she doesn't answer him. We don't get any of the answers. We just know that Trucker has guns all over the place.
Lots of drugs and is weird and controlling and mean.
I did not like Trucker.
No,
I did not like that sequence.
And the opening of the movie, the true opening of the movie is she's pretending to be a cleaning lady at a motel, but it's like too early in the morning because she's trying to find where she needs a gig so bad, supposedly. You have to put this together. That she's like going to ask Trucker for a gig. And then Trucker finds her and is like, "What are you doing? You know, it's like 7 a.m. And do you know who I am?" And she says, "Yeah, you're the team man. You're Trucker." But one of the first things you hear her say is, I'm Sadie. I'm a singer. So I thought that was kind of interesting that one of the first things she ever says about herself is that she's a singer. Now, in a practical way, she's offering, like, "Can I sing with you in one of your bands or something?" But also she's identifying herself as a person who sings, which later on becomes obviously like a theme.
Yeah.
Is she a singer or she's trying to be her sister, you know?
Yeah. The cat.
Oh, man, they really didn't give a fuck about that cat.
So this, you know what? This kind of movie, now that I think about it, might pair really well with Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah. I think it's a good pairing.
That's a good pairing, I think. There's less drugs in that, but I do think that Llewyn Davis is a fascinating character. I love him.
A person that you both kind of love and hate, and at times are like, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just a kid who's full of himself and thinks he's a more bigger artist than he is. But then sometimes as the audience member, you're like, no, he's a really great artist, you know?
And he loses a cat too.
On the road.
The other things we've already talked about, because I was like, she has to be doing something because how's she getting gigs? And then like Jake's relationship with Sadie was a little bit like, I don't really know what's going on here. Which one was your best music moment?
Oh man, I think I have to go with Almost Blue.
Yeah.
I think that I really, really liked that. I think that the Van Morrison stuff is a very effective scene. I agree. It takes the audience to linger, and you have to be there for every minute of it as well and feel all the things everybody else is feeling. And I think that's a really cool use of music for character and plot development. I don't know, like I've ever seen a movie that like moved the plot along in such a way with a song, you know. Almost Blue is my favorite, and I do think it's the biggest thing we could point to for Sadie's true love of music and wanting to perform and be a singer. I liked a lot of the music, man. I like the Velvet Underground, and I like Lou Reed. So even like the weird janky versions of their songs they did, I'll Be Your Mirror, There She Goes Again, they're cool songs.
Yeah, what was the one, the Lou Reed song that I really liked? I think I put it on the post on
they had that horrible version. Maybe it's the one you like.
Walk on the Wild Side.
Yeah, Walk on the Wild Side. They do.
I like that Lou Reed song.
Sally Shake's song. That was like the worst one they did.
I like the Mirror song. I love that.
I'll Be Your Mirror is a good song.
I'll Be Your Mirror is great.
And then I also have to. You asked me my favorite, and I'm just going to mention every song in the movie, I guess. But the closing credits are Tom Waits. The piano has been drinking, not me, and that is just a good song for this movie and a great song overall. I love that song.
I do think it's interesting that Tom Waits is in this, or that was a great way to end it, because Tom Waits is a voice that not a lot of people love. It's kind of like Leonard Cohen a little bit, like genius, musical genius. People love Leonard Cohen, but his voice is something that's not.
And both on recorded albums and live, Tom Waits has done things that have challenged their audiences into being like, do I like this as art, or do I think you're just like full of shit and need to move on, you know? The Piano Has Been Drinking song is really good because it starts as like a sweet little lullaby, and he starts repeating himself so much that it becomes like with the same melody, like every line, the same melody, that it becomes a little like unsettling until it finally breaks into the second part of the song, that it kind of mirrors Sadie's like performance in the middle. Like, it starts like you think it's going to be a sweet, sad Tom Waits piano song, but it drags you along in a way that's slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah. I need to listen to more Tom Waits.
Man, I got back into him a couple months ago, listened to a few albums straight through, and it's been years, but I love it.
Yeah, I need to get into him. I'm related to him, so I should probably.
Absolutely.
I'm not really related to him. All right, I'm going to skip over a couple of these other categories because they're not very good. But who do you think gave the best performance overall?
Jennifer Jason Leigh. It's either that or Mare Winningham. But
yeah, I think I had Mare Winningham.
I think her face does a lot of work, so I think she gets to not act, and that helps her character.
Yeah, I love Mare Winningham. I think Jennifer Jason Leigh has a great face too. I love Mare Winningham's face, and like she reminds me of a Marcia Gay Harden, or God, who's the other person that I wanted to throw in, like a Jennifer Goodwin. They just have these like cherubic faces that are.
Well, I kept thinking of an old college friend of ours, but that she reminded me of. But yeah, she kind of looks the part so well, and just gets to be very quiet. That like I think she's a great actor. Like I think I
love those glasses, man.
Yeah,
those glasses. They're doing a lot of
those
work.
moments when she finally does get to speak up or whatever. She does it so in character that it's never that loud. She never like loses.
Jean Triplehorn. That's another one that I would kind of throw in there. Yeah. All right. Speaking of recasting, is there a 95 recast or a 2025 recast that you'd like to see?
I wrote like 30 names down on both. I won't go through them all.
No, yeah.
I mean, I only even thought about Sadie and Georgia. I didn't think about anybody else.
Yeah, that's all I did too.
So for Sadie, it's really hard because it made me like Jennifer Jason Leigh more because I looked at every woman somewhere near their age range that was popular, and I couldn't find really anybody. Like Brittany Murphy's too young.
Yeah, too young at that point. Yeah,
Helena Bonham Carter might be.
I thought of her.
But she hasn't like become herself yet. Really,
too good a singer.
Yeah, maybe. Hilary Swank.
She would have been appropriate. Or yeah, she would have been like in her early 20s. I think. She
would have been like alt. I mean, I wrote down some of their ages. Hilary Swank was only 21, so it's hard to know what age they are. I think that like Sadie's
20s.
8.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And I think Georgia's only like 33 or something. Yeah, or close. They got to be pretty close in age, I think.
So, like, I already mentioned or Juliette Lewis was the one that I thought of for
That's
Sadie.
A really good one. I hadn't thought of her. But you brought that up earlier. That's great.
And I think these other two one is too big and one is not big enough. Mila Jovovich, and Parker Posey, maybe.
Parker Posey, I thought about. Yeah,
she's like too big though. I think
she's
too big of a person. We just watched her in Party Girl, and like she's just too big for it.
Yeah, but it does make sense because she can smile through the pain, which happens a little bit in Party Girl. So I mean, I think that's a pretty good match, honestly. But it's funny that as much as like we can like pick apart, and we can and should pick apart Jennifer Jason Leigh's performance, like it's hard to see anybody else as Sadie. Like
true,
especially in that era in the early 90s.
Anybody for Georgia?
I had a bunch, but I think I came down with a perfect one eventually. She was 37 at the time, but Gina Davis.
I looked over Gina Davis and was like, could she do it? She could do it.
Think about her in League of Their Own.
I was about to say, A League of Their Own might be a great pairing for this movie.
Yeah, right. It is a sisters movie. That's actually a good pairing. Yeah.
I thought about Lori Petty too.
Andie MacDowell at her best acting.
Yeah.
Which she usually doesn't bring, but at her best acting, I think she looks the part and could play that quiet part a little bit.
Could Lori Petty be Sadie?
Lori Petty as Sadie's not a bad.
Yeah.
But I do think, I think she could.
I think Meryl's a little too old for this. I had Meryl written down.
I wrote it
as
down.
Georgia. BB Newworth.
I know the name.
She's Frasier's wife from Cheers.
Okay, yeah.
But she was big on Broadway and stuff, and just very well, like straight laced, put together. I think she is also a little bit older at this time. So those are the only ones I had.
Well, and again, I would also bring up for Sadie that if Hollywood was filming this as a studio driven thing rather than an independent film, they would put Winona Ryder in this movie, and it wouldn't be as good. Yeah.
Yeah, Winona Ryder would not have been good in this. I can't think of anybody. Samantha Mathis, maybe for Sadie. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything.
Angelina Jolie was 21, which is too young. But based on her Girl Interrupted stuff, like she could kind of do it. She's maybe too pretty too. I mean, that's a part of it. Renee Zellweger, I don't know what she was doing back then, but she has the acting chops.
Yeah, she would have just been doing like getting bit roles, I think.
I had her like 26.
Yeah.
I found one list that had their like ages too, so I was able to like write them down.
That's nice. That's nice. Anybody else for 95?
Nope.
All right, 2025?
For Sadie. I think
everybody's too pretty.
Everybody's too pretty, and like they don't act big. None of these people act big. We talk about this every time trying to find like 20-something actors. Like it's not like we don't have a lot of good ones, but they're very like limited in what they do. I put Saoirse Ronan as the person who I think young enough, looks the part, and could like has enough acting chops to like stretch to where Sadie needs to be.
And honestly, could do both.
Yeah, could do both.
Could do both.
In the same movie. You could double cast her in that movie and she would kill both roles. Yeah.
I love it. Let's make it a twins movie instead. Yeah. I said Maya Hawke for Sadie. Just she can give a little bit of that grunginess to it. She is a singer too. So
I had Mikey Madison.
Ooh, yeah.
Nora, I think could pull off some of that.
I like that.
And then Zazie Beetz, I think acts big. I think
I love her.
She's really good, and she acts like she takes a lot of roles where she acts out. So I know that she can do like a more manic, loud role.
Yeah. I had Brie Larson somewhere in here too. I'm thinking mostly from she could. I mean, she's a little too old to be the Sadie role. She could maybe
she's a little too old, but I mean, she'd be good at it. I think she wouldn't be a bad Georgia.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anybody else that sings.
Because you need Georgia to be like classically beautiful as well.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of effortless, beautiful kind of thing has to, that's why I like Andie MacDowell would be a good. You get to see her in like a oversized flannel, like making whatever. Here's the biggest what the fuck moment in the movie. Do you remember when they're like, she's like putting a bunch of slop inside of little oranges or something and baking them? Do you know?
Oh yeah, I did. I thought it was like peanut butter.
We talked about that for 10 minutes. We missed a lot of the movie. We're like, what is she doing? She's making like 15 of these things, like little tiny pumpkins that are carved out, and there's just orange.
Are they pumpkins? Are they oranges? What are?
I think there might be bell peppers, and that there's like a goop, a lentil goop going in them or something.
I thought it was oranges and peanut butter, and I just said whatever to that because
that was wild. And then I was like, maybe it's like butternut squash soup or something.
Ooh, yeah,
that's cooked inside of the squash.
I have no idea.
It was crazy.
Now I need to go back and rewatch it.
Watch that one scene and just try to figure out what the hell's going on. Because she also makes like 20 of them. You only see like
makes a lot
6 of them at the dinner scene. But while she's talking to Sadie, she's like, "We got to make more of these. This will never be enough."
Yeah, no, I forgot all about that. I'm glad that caused you to stop the movie.
I'm sorry, I don't know what made me say
that. Anybody else for 2025 casting?
For Georgia, Carrie Coon. It's a little older.
A little bit older, but yeah.
And maybe America Ferrera, I think could be pretty good.
Okay. I like America Ferrera.
Other than that, Bryce Dallas Howard, Rachel McAdams.
I'm trying to think of Rachel McAdams. I mean, I know who Rachel McAdams is. I feel like she's done a movie similar to this.
I know that she's done. I think she was a good actor, and she's done some like more elevated acting, but I haven't seen a lot of it. But I believe she could do it.
I just thought after you told me about or after you got on with the League of Their Own movie, I was like, oh, I know another good movie that'll go along with this, based on your Margot at the Wedding one too.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got another one. Any fun facts that you found in
There's a few you mentioned is written by Barbara Turner. All the singing was recorded live, which I think was a good choice.
Yeah.
So which means that like that also makes that central performance, which is so unsettling and maybe not good, like kind of interesting. That I don't know how many takes they did, but like she was doing all of that.
A little bit of me wonders if they were like, no. Like, I wonder if they talked to Jennifer Jason Leigh and they were like, you got to be worse. You got to be worse than that.
I don't think you had to. I think she knew.
You think she knew exactly what it was?
I mean, I respect the shit out of Jennifer Jason Leigh. I think she's a really cool actor. I don't think she's always a great actor. I just think she's really cool.
Yeah. But that would be interesting to be like, oh, you're just singing too good. I need you to be worse. Yeah. You already talked about Mare Winningham actually having, a career as a singer. She's had 4 albums, I think, maybe 5 because or 6 now because of the old data that I have here. I also thought Mare Winningham and Jennifer Jason Leigh have been friends forever. Like they grew up together. They were both teenagers, went to the same summer camp in the late 70s.
Yeah, Mare Winningham was her camp counselor.
Yeah. Because I did think about that. I was like, she's like 6 years older than her. They couldn't have been like hanging out as that big of teenagers. I guess 13 to 19. But yeah, she's a little bit older than her. So
that's pretty much all I had. I will say that looking for trivia though, that the amount of detail given to like the home video section on Wikipedia of this movie is insane. Like they tracked who owned this movie through like 90 different acquisitions of like who bought 700 movies from Paramount and then sold them to Sony and when it was released on Blu-ray. I don't know who cares that much about just
Yeah, there's not a ton of facts I found. I mean, scouring what you can about Wikipedia. And
IMDb was pretty dead on this one. It was kind of interesting. Yeah.
The other thing is like Jennifer Jason Leigh convinced the director to cast Ted Levine in this movie, who's been getting typecasted as a villain over the last 5 years or 4 years.
Well, however you feel about Jake, you have to show like he was good in this movie.
He is good. He had made me forget that he puts the lotion on the skin.
Yeah, right. And that voice is amazing. And to hear that voice in a soft context.
I want to hear him sing. I want to hear him back up Mare Winningham. Yeah, that'd be good. All right, like a fine wine and dish, if you could pair this movie with another movie for a double feature, what would you choose?
We came up with more good ones extemporaneously than I had written down, but I think my best one's probably Coal Miner's Daughter.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I didn't even think about that one. I had that one down. Rachel Getting Married was the one I just thought of.
Rachel Getting Married is when you're too sleepy to watch Margot at the Wedding. I love Rachel Getting Married.
Rosemary DeWitt is in that movie, and she reminds me, it's the sister to Rachel. She reminds me of Mare Winningham. Yeah. Rosemary DeWitt, the sister of Anne Hathaway in that. And that's a Demme movie, Jonathan Demme movie.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I love these. I love those movies, and it might be one of the reasons I like Georgia a lot. You've probably heard me say Ingmar Bergman used to make movies that were about like, I like these movies that are usually about rich people, but like a rich family goes away to the beach for a weekend, and you don't know anything about any of them, and then like there's all this tension under the surface, and then it explodes in like family drama at the end of the weekend or whatever, and all those tensions let go. I love movies like that. And Margot at the Wedding's like that. Rachel's Getting Married is like that. Joanna Hogg is a current director who makes really good movies that are all like that. I don't know. So Georgia kind of counts.
That's not The Souvenir, is it?
Man, it's been a while since she's probably got new movies I got to see.
Yes, it's The Souvenir.
The Souvenir, yes. Yeah, Archipelago is a good one I saw. The Souvenir is great. Exhibition, maybe.
What else? Anything else from?
No. I mean, a Single White Female if you want a Jennifer Jason Leigh thing. Yeah. Ash if you want country music and heroin. I don't know. Like there's a lot of almost, but not many that are perfect.
I had a couple. Decline of Western Civilization Parts 1 and 2.
All 3 of them just left Criterion last month.
Oh, that's a bummer. Because 1 features Bobby. Because he's with his punk band at the time. X. John Doe is the lead singer of X. So he's in the very first one of those. And I think like both of those dealing with like addiction and rock and roll and all that stuff kind of go really nicely with this. There's a movie I watched a few years ago that I wasn't like super in love with, but I didn't hate. It has Jessie Buckley in it, who, if you know anything about Jessie Buckley, she's a wonderful actress. But this movie's it's about a Scottish woman who wants to sing country music, but she's, you know, addicted to drugs and she's been smuggling drugs and all this stuff. But her like biggest goal is to she's playing all these little gigs, but she wants to go to Nashville and be a country singer and all this. Really interesting movie. 2018 is when it came out. So
right.
Check that out. But that's the only other one I said.
Yeah. You know what I think is, like, I could watch a lot of, there's a lot of music, rock and roll, country music and heroin movies. And on those podcasts, I'd be like, I have a great movie you should pair that with. And it's Georgia. Because that would be an interesting, different take on the genre. Whereas this one,
true.
I feel like that long list of country, rock and roll, heroin abuse movies, like, because you don't want to pair this with a Requiem for a Dream or a Candy, like,
or Train Spotting. Like,
yeah, you don't want that with this. You kind of want music and drugs and alcohol together. But this is the standout. This is the weird one that you want to pair with something else sometimes.
Yeah. So this is the one you're right. On a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to rewatch this movie?
I put it at a 2. I do think there's a lot of cool stuff to think about this movie. Having watched it like a year and a half ago, I loved watching it again. I didn't have time to do my second rewatch of the podcast, but I wasn't dreading it. I was excited to kind of watch it and drill down on some of that stuff. But I mean, obviously, it's a difficult movie to watch. So I kind of think that I want you to watch it again in a year and a half and tell me if you feel any differently about it.
You know, after talking with you about it, it's one of those things where I was like, man, was I too harsh on this movie? Because I had it, you know, I gave it a 1 on rewatch thing, but I gave it a 2.5 stars on overall rating.
I think I gave it a 3.5, and I think it's a 3. And its boldness gets half a point for sure. Its boldness and originality gets at least half a point for me. But yeah, I mean, you may not ever feel that way. I'm not saying you have to, or right. But I remember this being a melodrama with some really cool moments, some interesting Jennifer Jason Leigh, some interesting sister. I love a sister dynamic or a brother dynamic in movies. Some cool music moments, and that's all I remembered about the movie. And then I found way more depth in it the second time than when I watched it a couple years ago.
Yeah, I really wish I could go back and find some like interviews with them to see, or if there's like a commentary on this movie. Like, I know that doesn't exist probably, but I would love to hear.
I think it might be a movie I was looking up recently, probably this on YouTube, where sometimes you'll find like the audio commentaries to movies.
Okay. Yeah, that might be something that I'd want to do, is look at the commentary and kind of walk through the movie with them and be like, okay, why'd you do this? What's the choice here? Why?
And I would love a little, not like the most high-minded arty version, but like a more thorough, like critical analysis of this movie, because I think there's stuff to talk about there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's amazing. 3.5 might be a little too big, but being original counts a lot for me. Being unlike everything else, you know.
It's nice that this kind of movie gets recognized at this time too. It's really low budget.
This movie doesn't feel like 1995.
No,
this is like a weird movie for all the stuff we're covering in the podcast this year. There's some dark movies, there's art movies, there's lots of stuff, but this feels like it belongs in the early 2000s, honestly.
Yeah. I agree with that a lot. Well, that's it. We've ended it. Got it in under an hour and a half. Thank you, Ryan. But before we wrap up, I want to know if you've watched anything recently that you are going to recommend.
Real quick, you mentioned the decline of Western civilizations. I'm sure you know about this. I haven't explored it much, but your chat and Discord should know if they don't. You know Night Flight, the streaming service?
No.
You should check it out. There's a free version and a paid version. Night Flight was a thing that the USA channel in the 80s, like a late night block of mostly B horror movies. And there's a streaming service out there now that has 3 things on it. B horror, like the craziest B horror movies you've never heard of, music documentaries, and a lot of good one, including I think all 3 declines of Western civilization, and weird art indie films.
Okay.
And it's like those 3 categories on this app. So if you have any like old horror fans or weird horror fans, like tell them about it, because it's like a really good place for that stuff. But if you have any music documentary, rock and roll fans, it's pretty good. And if you're like me, like a Criterion kid, then like it's pretty good for that too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just looking at it now. Night Flight Plus. That's very
And they
cool.
do a fun thing where they recreate the broadcast that the USA channel did in the 80s. So you can just like watch what it was like one weekend in the 80s of watching the original Night Flight, which was mostly like weird B horror stuff.
Man,
Just some of the posters and the names of the old horror movies alone are just worth looking at.
That is this is a version of like something that I really want. Like I want those like blocks of television back where I can just watch. I mean, I do it on YouTube all the time where I'm just watching blocks of Snick.
Right.
Yeah, 4 hours.
We're a little too young for this, but I had mentioned it around a few people I know who are in their mid 40s, a little older than me. And they were like, I remember Night Flight. I watched that when I was like 15, 20, something like that. So it's kind of a cool unknown little resource there for weird stuff.
That's really cool. I love that.
I'll only talk about one movie. I watched Night Moves with Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah.
Mid-70s film, like an LA noir that's just about like the cynicism of the Watergate era. And it's dark and cool and fucked up, and it is a noir film that's not just about the crime plot elements, but it's a little like, if you like the conversation, you like Gene Hackman in the conversation, and
that is one of my favorite. I love the
quiet metaphorical take on the cynicism post 60s. This is like the Long Good Night meets the conversation, where Gene Hackman's a private investigator trying to chase down Melanie Griffith is a teenager who's running away from her shitty actress mom who only wants her around for a trust fund, and just comes across a bunch of dark stuff. He's not a hero. He's not Sam Spade. He doesn't have a lot of honor. He's not a horrible person either. He's just kind of along for the shitty human ride, and it's a really good movie.
No, that sounds like something. I love The Long Goodbye, and I love the conversation.
Yeah, this movie is kind of like, I mean, I'm not saying it's quite as good as either of them, but it's like a mix of those. It's a really good movie.
No, I'm on board now.
Arthur Penn is the director, who we don't talk about a lot, but made a lot of very highly critically praised movies in the 70s.
No, I'm going to check that one out. He did Bonnie and Clyde. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, he did Bonnie and Clyde. That was his like
the big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Awesome. Well, I've watched a few movies. Some of them, honestly, not as they're more on the okay. Like I would give it another chance. I watched The Life of Chuck. That's a newer movie that came out by Mike Flanagan. Really marketed terribly, I think. Movie. Friendship, which is the Tim Robinson movie. I think it's on HBO Max now.
I wanted to see that, yeah.
I would love for you to see it and talk to you about that movie in particular. There's a rom-com called A Nice Indian Boy. It's a gay rom-com, and some of those are lately have not been too great, and this one was actually very charming and very cute, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool. I'm happy that we got to the stage of where gay rom-coms can be as shitty as straight rom-coms.
Yes.
And that's very nice, and that's good progress. But I do want to pull out of that a little bit and find out where like the really good gay rom-coms are.
Man, Judd Apatow tried one, and it was not good. I did not like Billy Eichner and Brand. Like I love Billy Eichner. Bros is not very good, in my opinion.
What was it called?
Bros.
Oh, I didn't know that's what that was about.
Yeah. And then 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, as I've been watching through Disney movies, old Disney movies.
Oh yeah,
great. Incredible, right? Honestly.
Man, that era of the Big Adventure, still live action, but using a lot of like illustrations and miniatures and stuff like that.
The effects and stuff, great. Good job, Disney. It's 1952 or whatever. And gosh, I love Kirk Douglas. He's
Disney 50s can be a slog, but there's a lot of good in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to recommend some of the movies you've been watching or want to talk with us, you can get that information by joining our Discord server. You're always welcome to follow us on Instagram as well, or check out my account on Letterboxd. You can get all those links at the link tree wherever you're watching or listening. Sunday, next Sunday, which will be the 21st, we're going to continue our theme of drugs are bad with the movie The Basketball Diaries. I think this one's going to be a tough one too. So look forward to that. And then our extra credit theme is called Like Do I Amuse You, where our films are all comedies that didn't quite make our list this year. We're watching Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, the Brady Bunch movie, 9 months, if you can find it, which I'm having a lot of difficulty trying to find. Father of the Bride Part 2, and because we don't find 9 months, Grumpier Old Man. I'll throw that one in there as well. That pod will be next Wednesday, September 24th at 6 p.m. Other than that, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on 52/1995.
Thanks, fam.
What a year, what a time. Big screens, dreams, a movie rewind. From talking toys to heists gone wrong, we're watching it live and